On the night of June 17, 2015, at Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina, Dylan Storm Roof and 14 others attended a Wednesday night Bible study. At the end of the lesson, around 9 p.m., when everyone was bowed in prayer, Roof stood up and began shooting. 9 were killed, 5 survived. Roof fled the scene and was eventually arrested in Shelby, South Carolina, about 250 miles from Charleston. Police found the gun in his back seat. It was later discovered that he had posted a manifesto online before going to Charleston to commit the shooting. Mother Emanuel Church is the oldest African Methodist Episcopal, or AME church in the South, dating back to 1816. Due to his ties to the anti-slavery movement, the city burned down the church in 1822 after finding out that congregants were planning a slave revolt. The victims of the shooting were Cynthia Hurd, Daniel Simmons Sr., Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Ethel Lance, Tywanda Sanders, Myra Thompson, Susie Jackson, D. Payne Middleton Doctor, and former South Carolina Senator Reverend Clementa Pinckney. Roof used a Glock 45 caliber pistol and reloaded 5 times. 77 shells were found in the church and 54 bullets were removed from the victims. The shooting lasted about 90 seconds, and Roof did not fire all of his ammunition, planning on committing suicide later. Roof, aged 21 and living with his parents in Lexington at the time of the shooting, was a 9th grade dropout who ultimately obtained his GED. His grandfather was a prominent real estate attorney in Columbia, and his father was a building contractor who owned several properties around the state. In Roof's manifesto, he wrote that he mounted the attack because no one else would take a stand against what he perceived as an epidemic of black-on-white crime and the relegation of white Americans to second-class status. This accompanied photos of him wearing the former apartheid African flags and holding a Confederate flag. He self-identified as a white nationalist and white supremacist. He also said he took his ideas and ideologies from the Nazis and Klansmen. When asked about why he chose to go to Charleston rather than commit the crime in his own hometown, he explained that he chose Charleston because it was more historic. There are several possible explanations behind Roof's decision to carry out the shooting. Group conflict theory focuses on in versus out groups and the strain between them. Roof's beliefs about him needing to commit the murders because of the conflict between blacks and whites supports this theory. Another explanation is social learning theory, the concept that attitudes, stereotypes, and values are learned from others. Roof's parents reportedly blamed Dylan's use of the internet and white supremacist forums for influencing his beliefs and subsequent actions, a digital form of social learning. King, Messner, and Baller introduced the racial threat thesis. This thesis states that when majority populations perceive a minority as threatening, they react in right-wing voting and prejudicial attitudes. An example of this is Roof's response to why he was doing this, saying, "I have to do this because you're raping our women and you're taking over the world." There is significant evidence of Roof's premeditation and planning for the event. Dylan had actually told one of his friends, Joey Meek, about his plans. Roof told him that he had been planning the massacre for months and that he was going to kill himself afterwards. Meek was sentenced to 27 months for hampering and misleading authorities after the shooting. The feds also found evidence of premeditation via GPS data, phone records, his online manifesto, photos he posted online, and lists of potential churches that he had scouted out. Roof explained that he chose a church despite recognizing that these people were innocent because killing a black drug dealer would not have generated the same attention. In Roof's prison journal, he drew swastikas and wrote about his beliefs regarding minorities and how he missed being free. He followed that admission with, "Then I remember how I felt when I did these things, when I committed these murders, and how I knew I had to do something. And then I realized it was worth it." He additionally wrote in his journal about his lack of remorse. "I'd like to make it crystal clear I do not regret what I did. I am not sorry. I have not shed a tear for the innocent people I killed." Roof admitted his guilt to the FBI after his arrest and pleaded guilty during his trial in hopes of receiving a life sentence. He was charged with 33 felony counts. 12 were federal hate crimes, all punishable by death, and 18 others that were also punishable by death. He was additionally charged with 9 counts of murder, attempted murder, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a violent crime at the state level. Judge Richard Gergel presided over the federal trial. Gergel is known for ruling for the right of same-sex couples to marry in South Carolina in 2014. Jay Richardson, Assistant U.S. Attorney, was the lead prosecutor, and David Brooke was appointed by the court to represent Roof. Brooke wanted to move to have Roof declared mentally unfit, but Roof refused. He stated, "There's nothing wrong with me psychologically." Therefore, Roof asked to represent himself during the jury phase, reinstate Brooke for the guilty phase, and then represent himself again during the penalty phase. The jurors found him guilty on all 3 felony counts in less than 2 hours, and he was sentenced to death. During his closing statement, Roof said, "I felt like I had to do it. I still feel like I had to do it." After the final sentence was read, Roof's request for new counsel for an appeal was denied. For his state trial, he was given an additional 9 life sentences. The Charleston shooting also added to the gun control debate. A separate lawsuit was filed against the federal government for allowing Roof to purchase a firearm with a previous drug arrest. The gun control tactic taken after the shooting was to focus on market-based interventions that, when properly followed, may have prevented the death of the 9 worshippers at Mother Emanuel.